Fish and Wildlife, how's it going?
Police officers are the only thing standing between bad guys that poach shellfish and human health and safety.
Wildlife detectives will take you all around the Pacific Northwest to tell stories of poaching that's happening in all these areas and the people who are trying to stop it.
111 and 110.
For the last year and a half, we've been embedded with Fish and Wildlife officers as they're trying to stop poachers.
Right there, right there. Stop, stop!
Poaching the Pacific Northwest resources is stealing. The resources of the Pacific Northwest are worth a lot of money, and there's none that are more lucrative than shellfish. People might think, what is the big deal if somebody takes a few? They're taking them from places where nobody should be harvesting shellfish because the shellfish there are contaminated.
This is making me ill. You don't have 1 ounce of labeling anywhere throughout this place, okay?
Contaminated shellfish can make you sick, and they can even kill you. We really had to be small and nimble. We had to learn how to document their work discreetly so that we wouldn't jeopardize any of their investigations.
Your desire for clams overrides whether or not they're legal. That has to
right
stop.
now we know.
That has to stop now.
Yeah, I know.
And we really need people like the Fish and Wildlife officers to make sure that we don't poach them to extinction. I think people are going to be excited to watch this because there's nothing else like it.
Clams, oysters, gooey duck, Northwest delicacies. But there's a dark side.
The clams are stolen.
Black market poachers stealing shellfish from polluted beaches.
It was just easy and fast, easy money.
But officers are on the case, chasing down poachers.
I need a uniform. I need a uniform. Right there, right there. Stop, stop!
Collecting the evidence
This is making me ill.
and protecting both animals and people.
Fish and Wildlife police officers are the only thing standing between bad guys that poach bivalve shellfish and human health and safety.
They are the wildlife detectives.
Today we're going to be going to restaurants, fish markets, places like that. We need to do our inspections and make sure that the stuff that they're going to sell is going to be safe for consumption. You seen anything?
Oh, nothing's labeled. All the fish over there, none that's labeled.
The difference between poached seafood and legal seafood isn't something you can see. For clues, Sergeant Eric Olson has to look at the paperwork to see where and when the shellfish were harvested. Washington leads the nation in farmed shellfish. No other state harvests as much. It's an industry that provides thousands of jobs and contributes $270 million to the economy. But shellfish are a high-risk food. Clams, mussels, and oysters are filter feeders. That means they suck in whatever is in the water. Toxins, harmful pathogens, or even pollutants. Thousands of people get sick from tainted shellfish in the United States each year. Some even die.
So when we do a harvest on the beach, the harvesters generate a handwritten tag with all of the information about the date, the bed that it's harvested, all of our company information with our certification number and so on.
That tag stays with the shellfish as it travels to the processing plant, where it's put into a computer and new labels are printed. Each time the shellfish are sorted into smaller quantities, they're re-tagged. Tags accompany the shellfish all the way to the marketplace, supposedly guaranteeing these shellfish are safe to eat.
If you're in a restaurant and you order oysters, you should be able to ask your waitstaff to see the tag that came with that shellfish when it was delivered to the restaurant.
But a system based on trust is also vulnerable to abuse.
If people want to sell illegal shellfish, you can do it. You can game the system.
At any point in the process, at the restaurant, at the retail market, at the processing plant, or at the beach, cheating the system is as easy as creating a fake tag.
We do have an obligation to protect illegal businesses just as much as we have an obligation to protect the natural resource that they're all relying on in the first place.
There's got to be somebody out there writing tickets once in a while to keep everybody in check and make sure you're doing it right.
You don't have 1 ounce of labeling anywhere throughout this place, okay? That's a significant issue for me. If you cannot prove where it came from and that it's safe for human consumption, I can't let you sell it. We're gonna take all the stuff that's packaged like this, as well as the stuff in the clear plastic bag, okay, and that's gonna come with us.
So we did issue you a citation today for not having your invoices here on site for the shellfish product that you had, the mussels at least.
So in other words, I have to go to court?
Yes. This is a criminal violation.
Mandatory court appearance. We don't have any say on that. All criminal offenses are mandatory court appearances now.
Olson says if he had the time, he could file a felony-level shellfish case pretty much every day. But that would overwhelm the system, and the charges don't always stick. Wendy Willette is on a stakeout. She's an undercover detective with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. We can't show you her face, or it would put her at risk.
So this woman arrives in this vehicle, dark blue Chevy pickup truck, goes in and talks to a man in the back, and then she waits for a little while. The man comes out with a scale, and she takes the clams out of the back, and he gets a bucket. He hands her the money, she leaves, and he takes the product inside.
This is the first hard evidence in Willette's investigation, a covert sale at the back door of a restaurant. You might not imagine people would be dealing shellfish in parking lots and alleys, but that's exactly what's happening in the communities around Washington's Puget Sound.
It's solely for profit, solely to save $1, and it's putting so many people at risk.
Just days later, Willette identified the couple.
Between the two of them, they're up around 75 to 80 different violations just in the last 10 years. Criminal violations. Regular drug users known to use methamphetamine. The male suspect has been implicated on several occasions as a very well-known timber thief.
Their rap sheets also include poaching. Just months before, officers caught the couple harvesting clams at night from a beach near an open sewage pipe.
We were down there digging some clams and got caught digging them.
It was just easy and, it was fast, easy money and I liked digging clams. I really enjoyed it.
That's part of the problem is it's so easy to do. And I mean, we did it for a long time. We never got caught. Every time we'd sell like to the main person that we sold to, it was, we'd make like $300 or $400 and it wouldn't really take a tide to dig it, It's pretty good money. It seems so minor, but the crime, seemed like you weren't really doing anything wrong. You're just down here digging some clams, I'm gonna go sell them over here. But really, when you get looking at the big picture, it's pretty serious.
Facing felony charges, the couple agrees to help bring down their main buyer, the owner of a video store.
Hey, I got some clams today. Yeah, I've been busy. I got like 70 pounds. I can be there probably in 15 more minutes. Okay, thanks.
Of all the shellfish that sell on the black market, one clam is above the rest. The gooey duck. Most Americans have never heard of, much less eaten, a gooey duck. So why is there such a thriving black market for their meat? Before we answer that, let's get one thing out of the way. It may be spelled geoduck, but it's pronounced gooey duck. Gooey ducks are the largest burrowing clam in the world. Predominantly found in Puget Sound, they can live up to 160 years. That's one of the longest lifespans in the entire animal kingdom. An adult gooey duck weighs around 1 to 3 pounds, and in Asia, their meat is a prized delicacy. About 90% of the geoducks harvested in the U.S. are sent across the Pacific. That's about $70 million worth a year. In China, geoduck was once reserved for elite banquets. But China's growing middle class has developed a taste for the delicacy and the disposable income to afford it. This rising demand has sent geoduck retail prices to as high as $150 per pound, and soaring prices create a big incentive for poachers. Here's how it works. Harvesting wild geoduck is only allowed in certain areas of Puget Sound. The state auctions off each area, but there's still a limit on how much can be dug up within each area.
We're ready. How far out are you?
I need a uniform. Right there. Stop! Guys, Fish and Wildlife Police.
One of the cooks who had purchased clams illegally got spooked and ran out the back door with a portion of the clams.
I don't know anything.
Okay, I need you to put your cigarette out, and we're all gonna go inside.
Sit right here for now. You too, okay? We gotta talk to you. We gotta talk to you. So just have a seat. Have a seat right here.
Oh, I'm talking with the guy right here, you know, right?
I know you told me we're gonna talk to you. You guys were all together with these shellfish. We gotta find out what happened, okay? So go ahead and have a seat.
We already know what happened. We know where it happened. I just don't know why.
How many times did you buy clams?
I think I buy one time.
One? Only one?
Yeah.
Many people, unfortunately, have this cavalier attitude about buying shellfish in an alley, when they have a sense, at least, that it's illegal.
Does the restaurant serve clams?
No, we don't. No, the restaurant, no lamb. We buy the outside, you know, they sell cheap. Last year I buy it because I see they sell cheap, you know. I buy it.
But why do you think it's so much less money than the store?
The clams are stolen.
I know sometimes
That's why it's cheap.
Legal, not legal. We don't know. You know, we see the chip, we buy it, eat. You know.
So your desire for clams overrides whether or not they're legal. Your morality.
Yeah, we don't know. We see the chip what we buy.
Okay, that has to
right
stop.
now we know.
That has to stop now.
Yeah, I know.
I think every person that I contact and I educate is a small victory, and it's better than doing nothing.
We have to find a way to reach out to these communities that enjoy seafood, that it's culturally important to, and convince them somehow that what they're doing, it's unhealthy and it's illegal, and it also affects the resources.
As long as there's money to be made and there's shellfish to be had, it's never going to stop.